Hey everybody, Playtendoguy here, and I'm back for another video. 2021 has certainly been an interesting year for gaming. It's been a bit of an on and off year. Many big hitting titles that should have got released this year were delayed mainly due to the issues that COVID has brought, but that still doesn't mean there hasn't been any quality games. Far from it, there's been a decent selection of titles for all consoles that have brought plenty of fun times to games across the world. But today I'm going to bring you my top 10 games of the year. Before I start, I'd like to just say that this is my list and my list alone. It isn't the right list, it's just 10 games that I thought was the best that I played this year. Also, on a side note, I don't have a next gen system, so don't expect Ratchet and Clank or Deathloop here. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First up at number 10, we have Bravely Default 2. Nintendo and JRPGs go together like Square Enix and confusing titles for their games, but easily one of the more hidden gems of this year is Bravely Default 2. It's a fantastic sequel to the wonderful 3DS series that is very much a brilliant new take on the traditional RPG, with its Brave and Default systems that allow you to save and spend attacks for future turns. It's a great risk and reward strategy that has served the series so well. There's also a load of depth with its character progression, allowing for you to shape each character how you wish. Whilst I'm certainly not the big fan of the art style here with its chibi-like design, it's still a nice looking game and it does have a great story and a likeable set of characters. It's a highly competent RPG that can be an incredibly addictive and another great Switch console exclusive game. In at number 9 we have Monster Hunter Stories 2. The first of two entries from the Monster Hunter series. This is a family-friendly spin-off feeling something similar to the Pokemon games. It's a sequel to 2017's Monster Hunter Stories and it takes on the same gameplay as that one. You can befriend the monsters and help train them to be other monsters in this wonderful anime-like adventure. It's graphically a wonderful game featuring a lovely world to explore and a cute storyline that focuses on friendship and all that good stuff. Yeah, there's a few technical issues here and there, but like with Bravely Default 2, it's another fun and enjoyable RPG for the Switch and definitely a standout title for the system. Coming in at number 8 we have Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. The Wii U was home to many great and wonderful games, and thankfully with the success of the Switch, many of the Wii's greatest titles finally got a second chance of success, and one of the titles we've been waiting ages for was 2013's Super Mario 3D World. Whilst it wasn't a title I was a big fan of when it launched, but now in 2021 my opinion has changed a lot. I think 3D World is a truly exceptional and creative platformer that fuses the brilliance of 2D and 3D Mario games, but also includes a fantastic multiplayer option. Each level feels incredibly creative and unique, and whilst the game on Switch would have been good enough, we also have the inclusion of Bowser's Fury. An interesting experiment from Nintendo that feels like a teaser for a future Mario game. It's a short 5-hour adventure that sees Mario exploring this big open area, and you're free to tackle all objectives in whatever order you like. It fuses Super Mario 64, Odyssey, 3D World and even slight elements of Breath of the Wild to make for a super fun time and an incredible package. In at number 7 we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Another remaster it may be, but Skyward Sword has always been a rather mixed entry in the franchise, with many players not keen on the linear progression and motion controls. So of all the Zelda games to get a re-release, Skyward Sword needed it the most, and thankfully Skyward Sword HD breathes new life into this diverse entry and actually improves the experience quite a bit. Straight from the get-go, the game looks stunning. On the Wii it was 480p and it looked nice, but obviously the technical restrictions didn't help out. But on the Switch we're seeing a boost to 1080p and it looks fantastic. Its art style really does stand out and pop quite a bit. The game also runs at a silky smooth 60fps, which is a nice inclusion as well. But easily the biggest and best game-changing inclusion is the ability to play the game with button controls. Whilst motion controls is still an option, the button controls just feel so much better and save so much awkwardness and frustration that the Wii version had. The game also has a load of various quality of life improvements that help with the flow of the game and makes for a much more enjoyable experience. For as much fun as the game is, the linear progression may not be for everyone, as it does feel very similar to Metroid Prime with its approach to progression. So those who have only played Breath of the Wild, this will probably be a bit of a culture shock to them, but definitely give it a chance, as this HD remaster Skyward Sword can now finally stand up there with the best of the Zelda series. In at number 6 we have Persona 5 Strikers. Persona 5 is easily one of the greatest JRPGs of all time and one of the best of this generation. It mixes social sim and JRPG to make for a perfect blend, and its story and characters are some of the best in the business. But here comes its semi-sequel Strikers, which is set after the events of the first game and sees the Phantom Thieves having a sort of summer break, and it's just a perfect excuse to catch up with these lovable characters. And whilst the story isn't as good as 5, it still delivers an entertaining time. Its biggest departure though is in its gameplay. Gone is the RPG combat, and in comes the Dynasty Warriors of hack and slash gameplay that the series is known for. It's similar to what you find in Hyrule Warriors, and whilst at first I was a bit worried whether it would work, but it actually works really well and is arguably the best Dynasty Warriors game out there. And as typical for a Persona game, it has a spectacular soundtrack, so get up and get out there and get yourself a copy. In at number 5 we have Resident Evil Village. Capcom has certainly been on a roll lately with their franchises, especially with Resident Evil. After last generation with Resident Evil 5 and 6 taking a more action focused approach, with the latter feeling very much like a Hollywood action movie more than anything else, this generation has seen Capcom up in their game, and the Resident Evil series has seen great gains. And the latest of this is Resident Evil Village, which continues the story of Ethan Winters that was introduced in Resident Evil 7 and sees him chasing after his daughter after she was kidnapped. Its story is great and offers plenty of shocking moments that I don't want to spoil, but the gameplay follows on from the first person stuff that was introduced in RE7, but is more action focused this time, whilst also still having that puzzle element. The game is a blast from beginning to end, and whilst you could say it becomes a bit of a boss rush partway through the game, there's no denying that it's one of the best games of the year and another showcase of how talented and great a publisher Capcom has been just recently. At number 4 we have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Easily the biggest surprise of the year for me. Hot on the heels of last year's semi-disaster that was Marvel's Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy was met upon announcement with mixed reactions. But boy, wasn't we all wrong, as Guardians is a single-player story-driven game starring the Guardians as they go through various trials and tribulations, as they've not been together for that long. And straight from the get-go, the game impresses with its superb storytelling that offers a great backstory to Peter Quill and depth to all the members of the team. The soundtrack is fantastic as it contains a whole host of 80s classics from Blondie to Wham. It's just pure brilliance. And the combat is a lot of fun too, kind of feeling a bit like Mass Effect Light as you play as just Star-Lord as he shoots enemies and dodges attacks, whilst giving commands to the Guardians to do, adding exploration and a morality system that can change how the Guardians react to you and how the story goes. It's easily one of the more impressive games of the year and gives hope in Square Enix Marvel still. So we're in the top 3 now, and in at number 3 we have Monster Hunter Rise. For much as I enjoyed Monster Hunter World, for me it kinda lacked in a few departments. It felt like when it was in a new direction, it forgot what made the series so special in the first place. But with Rise, it feels like a perfect mix between the old style Monster Hunter gameplay and the new world stuff, as well as adding new gameplay mechanics like the Wirebug and the Palamute, which allows for great traversal across the map. Running on the incredibly impressive RE engine, Monster Hunter Rise is easily a technical showcase for the Switch, and it all runs perfectly. The gameplay is still that addictive hunt and craft loop that has done the series so well, with some great new monsters and some returning ones as well. It also controls perfectly and is also one of the best online games on the Switch. Seeing you team up with fellow hunters to take down various monsters is a complete and utter blast. And with the up and coming new expansion coming in the summer, there's a lot to like here, and it's easily one of the Switch's best games. In at number 2 we have Hitman 3. Easily the first big game of the year, Hitman 3 started off 2021 in style with a fabulous end to the World of Assassination series, bowing out Agent 47 in style with a whole new batch of locations to test your murderous skills. From an absolutely gorgeous opening stage set in Dubai to a brilliant stage set in an English mansion that feels like it's ripped straight out of Knives Out. The gameplay hasn't really changed much over the last couple of games, but it does feel much more refined, and it's also one of the most addictive games available with so much replay value. Add in the fact that you can play the 2 previous games levels in here as well, and Hitman 3 is a truly incredible murderous puzzle sandbox that gives me hope with IO's next project, their 007 Bond game. And finally, at number 1, we have Metroid Dread. Easily the most shocking announcement of the year. Rumoured for years and cancelled many moons ago, Metroid Dread was always one of those tales that Nintendo fans used to talk about. But in 2021, this dream became a reality, and boy, wasn't it worth the wait. Metroid Dread sees Samus making her glorious return in easily one of the best games on Switch, delivering a fantastic Metroid adventure that's brilliantly designed and can be fiendishly difficult. Samus has also seen her movement boosted from a slide to a very powerful counter Samus has never controlled better. It's also a highly replayable game with many shortcuts and many unlockables to nab. It's a game that you'll easily return to. It looks fantastic on the Switch and all runs at a silky smooth 60 FPS, and it looks outstanding on the new Switch OLED. And finally, it also offers a satisfying conclusion to the 2D Metroid storyline. Metroid Dread is a truly incredible return for this beloved but long dormant franchise and offers hope for future entries. So with that, I'm giving my game of the year to Metroid Dread. And with that, the list is over. Tell me what you think of my top 10 games in the comment section down below. Do you agree or do you disagree? Tell me your favourite games in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you. And as always, thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could like and subscribe, that would be totally awesome. And until next time, bye.